Most people will never know what it feels like to write a song that stops the world. Kandi Burruss does. She has done it dozens of times. For other people, no scrubs, bills, bills, bills. There you go. Hits that defined a generation. Awards that sit in other women's houses. Cultural moments that belong to other women's names. She helped build all of it. From behind. And here is the part nobody is asking about. What does it mean when a woman with that much talent keeps ending up in the small print? Welcome to the October Sundays Collective. Kandi Burruss grew up in College Park, Georgia. Not Atlanta, College Park. The kind of place that doesn't produce people who wait to be chosen. It produces people who build their own door and walk through it themselves. She was on national television at 15, attended a performing arts high school, and her group Escape was signed by Jermaine Dupri when she was 16. By the time she was 23 years old, she had a Grammy. Not a nomination, an actual Grammy, for co-writing No Scrubs for TLC, one of the most recognizable songs of an entire generation. And that was just the beginning. Bills, Bills, Bills by Destiny's Child, There You Go by Pink, writing credits for Mariah, for Ariana Grande, for Ed Sheeran. The woman was a machine, not in the cold mechanical sense, but in the relentless, unstoppable, I will outwork everyone in this room sense. Think about what that output actually represents. These are not deep cuts. These are not album fillers. These are the songs that defined what it meant to be a woman in popular music at the turn of the century. Songs that women claimed as their own. Songs that played at every party, every breakup, every moment of reclamation. Songs that told a generation of women exactly what they were worth and exactly what they would not accept. Kandi Burruss wrote those words. And here is something worth sitting with. Most of those songs were not her songs. Her name was in the credits, the small print, the industry acknowledgement. But the face on the cover was someone else's. The voice people heard on the radio was someone else's. The Grammy performance, the magazine cover, the cultural moment, someone else's. Kandi Burruss built some of the most iconic moments in the late 90s and early 2000s, and she built them largely from behind. She was the architect of other women's anthems. She gave other women the words for their power, their independence, their refusal to settle. TLC said no scrubs. Destiny's Child said bills, bills, bills. Pink said, there you go. And Kandi wrote the words. And here is the question that nobody was asking at the time, but one that we will ask here. Who was writing Kandi's anthem? Not her credits, not her Grammy, her anthem. The song that said what she needed to say, the one that put her name on the cover, the one that gave her the words for her own power, her own independence, her own refusal to settle. Because that song did not exist. Not in those years, not in that chapter of her career. She was 23 years old with a Grammy and the most in-demand songwriting gift in the industry. Every major label wanted access to what she could build, and she gave it, generously, prolifically, at an extraordinary level of craft. But the architecture of how she gave it is worth examining. She did not walk into rooms and say, here is my vision. Build around me. She walked into rooms and said, here is what your vision needs. Let me build it for you. That is a specific positioning, and it is not accidental. When you are extraordinarily gifted at generating value, when you can walk into a room and produce something that moves people, that earns, that matters, but you consistently position that gift in service of someone else's platform rather than your own. Something is being communicated, not to the industry, to yourself, about where you believe your output belongs, about whose name deserves to be on the cover, about the gap between what you can build and what you believe you are worth claiming. That is a pattern. And patterns that precise do not start in a recording studio. They start much earlier than that.
Carrying this weight just heavy on my soul. Styling strength that where underneath to behold.